What up, gang of Lane? Carolina Jackpot time coming at you. It's Wednesday morning. Hump day for a lot of you folks. I work retail, so it's not really a hump day for me. It's just another day. I got to get on here and talk about this damn Frank Martin, South Carolina basketball coach situation. What the fudge is going on here? Really, what is the deal? So I'm hearing stuff over the weekend that there are reports out there. These are credible people in the South Carolina, not University of South Carolina, but South Carolina, the state of, media outlets, you know, speaking out here on Twitter and various other platforms that there will be a meeting with Ray Tanner, athletics director, and I guess the powers that be at the University of South Carolina and god dang whatever. And head basketball coach Frank Martin, he's going to be offered some options. None of those includes remaining on as the head basketball coach. Hey, that was supposed to happen Monday. This Wednesday morning, and nary a damn peep. Nary a peep from anywhere. So, what is the deal with that? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not on here championing. I can't even use my words this morning. Why is that so hard for me to say? Championing his dismissal. I'm not. I have said on podcasts and things in the past that I think it would be best if they went a different route, and I still believe that. But I mean, if you're not going to make a move, just wait till next year. If you can't seem to shit, get off the damn commode. Just that's what South Carolina athletics, the athletic director, the direction. It's just so screwed up at the top. I mean, it just really is. It's nobody can seemingly make a good decision. And oh, how about this? You got former players. Imagine that, former players coming to the aid of Frank, and former players from the Final Four team. Let me tell you something. I was happy as hell when I went to that Final Four. And I cannot stand the use of the word fluke in sports. Well, that was just a fluke. That was just a fluke. Y'all made that Final Four. Yeah, that was just a fluke. Y'all beat Georgia in 2019. There is a reason for everything like that happening. And usually when a team that you don't expect to rise to the top kind of rises to the top, or in the case of the Georgia football game in 2019 pulls an upset, it's because the better team or teams didn't perform up to expectations. They didn't perform up to expectations. Okay? It ain't necessarily nothing we done. Okay? It might be what you didn't do. So there's that. I hate the use of the word fluke in sports. I mean, we played well, and you didn't. So you bring that together, it's the perfect storm for an upset, or a fluke, as you like to call it. But it does seem strange. I mean, there's been, you know, very little real success since then. In fact, we have a losing record in basketball since then. And a lot of the Gamecock fan, or not a lot of them, but the ones who want to defend this guy over on Facebook and some of the Twitter, all the Facebook groups I'm in are like, well, you know, his 20 games over 500. There's one more games than anybody else in South Carolina basketball history. Okay, there's 20 games over 500. He's been there almost 10 years. Don't you think that there's 20 games worth of damn squash games, as you would call them there, against very inferior competition that are just kind of gifted wins? Yeah, there are. Guess what? There's also those supposed should be gifted wins against teams that, guess what, he fucking lost to them. Who can forget last season? South Carolina won 18 games, which is great. They won at Virginia. They lost at home to something called Stetson. Huh? How the hell does that happen? Never mind that fact. Why do we? I don't know that they do take it into account how much they do or don't. But why are we always talking about what former players have to say? I mean, Yeah, I mean, I guess it's relevant, but, you know, it was real damn obvious in the Shane Beamer hire that we had former players from the 2009 team, so-and-so wide receiver from the 2010-11 team, talking about how great of a recruiter he was, blah, blah. And ultimately, I think that is what ended up pushing him over the top and making his hire become a reality. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not bitching about that because I don't know yet. Nobody knows how it's going to work out yet. We don't know. But you can bet your bottom dollar if it don't work out, I'm going to come back to that point. But, I mean, you cannot be basing things off what former players say, okay? It's what your alumni, it's what your big money boosters want. If you want to get down to the nuts and bolts of it, it's what the majority of the fan base wants. Because that's where your bread's buttered. But as the case with Frank, here's my thing. I was for letting him go, and I'm for keeping him. I'm kind of torn between the two. That's my official word on it. I'm torn between the two. Yes, I mean, he has been a good coach. I mean, I think he's dedicated. I mean, I think he's a good guy. I mean, I think that he teaches life lessons, and his staff do, and he's interested in these players' future. You know, after they leave the basketball court, you know, he's interested in. He helps young people, and that too. You know, it's not college people, younger kids, stuff like that. He's involved with that type of stuff. So I really think that he is a good man. You will also hear a lot of backlash from Gamecock fans who are for his dismissal, saying things like, "Well, his style of coaching doesn't work anymore. Nobody wants to come here. The yelling and screaming, you know, it doesn't work anymore." Well, yeah, I mean, to your point, I get that. But you know what? You only talk about it, you only notice it because you see it. You don't think there's yelling and screaming and cursing and getting in somebody's shit on that football field in the practice facility for football? Oh, hell yeah, there is. But you don't hear it. You don't see it because it's not a spectator sport. You're not as up close and personal with that as you are basketball. Just kind of think about that for a minute there. Just kind of think about that for a minute there. They're getting people's shit too. So, I mean, you know, he coaches them hard. Sometimes they're not responding. So you may have a point with that. I don't know. But just food for thought that it doesn't just happen at South Carolina. It doesn't just happen on the basketball court. He's more verbal with it. He's facials. You know, you can tell. He's just an individual that you can tell when they're angry. Some people can hide it. Some can't. He can't, and he don't. So to that point, maybe it's best to move on in a different direction. You know, you're not winning. You're finishing 12th, 13th in the SEC. You've never been a powerhouse, but then again, so they've never been the bottom of the heap either. Not for, you know, more than 1 or 2 seasons. And normally they made a change. South Carolina's always been middle of the pack. I mean, we need to at least be middle of the pack in this conference as well, because let's just face facts. This is not a great basketball conference. It's just not. The ACC is the premier basketball conference out there. Say it, conference that South Carolina has won before, which they, you know, won the ACC tournament. Hadn't won the SEC tournament before. They've won the ACC tournament. It's just not the greatest basketball conference out there. Some might argue it's the Big Ten, whatever. So there's that. They should have some sustained success where they could actually reach up and elevate it up to another level and make a run, kind of like they did in 2016-17. Okay. But and then on the flip side, my argument for keeping him, I don't think from a public relations standpoint, in a broad spectrum, looking at from the whole United States, looking at this thing, I don't think it looks good to fire someone who has, not allegedly, he has definitively had coronavirus twice. How do you have that shit twice? I don't know, but he did. I mean, it's been exposed, I guess. He's had that twice. He had multiple players out with injuries with that. They missed a shit ton of games at the beginning of the season where, in effect, they were having to practice. They were having to use their games at the beginning of the season for practice because they weren't able to practice. Not as much as they should have been able to. Anyway, things were shut down. So you got that. You've got that in his corner, possibly giving him a mulligan. If I have to go on record with all this, I would say keep the man one more year. I mean, really, what's it going to hurt? You may be surprised. You may get back up to the middle of the pack next year. You may not. You may still want to let him go after the end of next year, but his buyout will be significantly less. And let's face it, they don't need to spend any more money on buying out damn coaches. They just don't. You know, I posted it up on here, Will Muschamp's picture in the Georgia little press release thing with a little red tie on and a goofy shit-eating grin on his face. I just wanted to smack him. I really did. I was thinking about the shit show that he drug us through for, what, 4 seasons on the field, 4 or 5 seasons, whatever it was. It was too damn long. You can want, and I think that of all the money that individual is making, it's depressing. And I know he worked hard for it. You know, he tried. Anyway, guys, that's about all I got to say about Frank. If you're not going to tank Frank, just keep Frank, because it makes you stink. I'll see y'all later. Appreciate it. Push. I'm out. As always, go Gamecocks. Woo!